Hi, this is Ronnie of Ask Miss Ronnie. Thank you for joining me again. If you joined me for the first time, welcome. My sharing today is about a subject I know you've been hearing a lot about lately. Nope, I'm not talking about the virus. It's the other thing, the election. But hold on, don't go away. What I have to share might help you, and it might be the information just for you, okay, or someone you know. Now, you should know I won't be trying to tell you who to vote for or how to vote, on the issues. I'm specifically sharing information for persons who have not voted in a while or for people who have never voted for whatever reason. You can learn how to vote in the privacy of your home, and I've included a little talk about some voting tips. In the interest of not repeating myself, and to keep this video from being too long, I suggest that you please watch my other election video dated July 26, 2020, this year, okay, for other basic voting information. If you've gotten this far in the video, I commend you. That tells me that you either like watching my videos or you really want to vote. Either way, it's a win-win. My goal here today is to share with you what I call voting basics. Since you made it to this point, I'm guessing you've already registered to vote and you may have decided how you're going to vote. You should have by now the official election mail from the Secretary of State's office informing you about the 3 ways to vote, in person, absentee ballot, or mail-in ballot. Or sometimes they call it the no excuse ballot. And the related deadlines and the reason for using each type of ballot is also printed there. Oh, and don't forget, today is the last day to request an absentee ballot if you want one, or a mail-in ballot. Yep, that's it, today by 5 o'clock. You can apply online at the county clerk's office, and they'll have the application, they'll have the ballot mailed to you. It's a very short application. Her site is showmeboon.com. Okay, that's the county clerk's office. Let's see. And you should have gotten a sample ballot from the county clerk's office. You did? Great. Okay. Now, what do you actually do with these papers? And most importantly, you may be wanting to know, well, how do I vote? Okay. But maybe you were a little embarrassed or a little afraid to ask anyone. We all have to be new sometimes. It can be a little scary or confusing that first time if you don't know how things are done. But you made it through getting the right ID and registering, so the voting part is really, really easy. Okay. But first, before you go to the polls, you need to do a little homework. And don't let that word homework scare you. Okay. You just need to get out that sample ballot. By the way, if you didn't get a sample ballot, you can also go to the county clerk's office and print one out from there. So you get the sample ballot, which is showing you all the issues that are on the ballot, as well as all the candidates' names and parties. Let's see. So, yeah, so you get that ballot out, sample ballot out, and then you go to a voting site, or maybe a couple of them. The ones I like is the League of Women Voters site or ballotpedia.org. And I'll have those listed in the comments section below. So once you go there, you'll find information about the issues that are current and about the candidates in this election and their answers to questions that each one of them have been asked. Okay. After learning about them and their responses, you just check on the sample ballot person you're most impressed by. Okay, by now, you just need to make sure, once you get all that done, fill out your sample ballot. Once you get all that done, you make sure you have your form of ID that you plan to that you registered with. Okay. Oh, you forgot what your choices were for IDs? Let me run to this list real quick for you. Okay. It's nice if you have a photo ID, but you don't have to have one. Okay. You can have instead one form of ID, and a form could be a valid photo ID, or a current utility bill, a bank statement, or a government check, and, a valid driver's license or non-driver's license. Of course, those are picture IDs. Um, let's see, or any other government document that shows your name and address, or you can use your birth certificate or a Native American tribal document or any other proof of citizenship. And there is a whole bunch of other things that you can do, you can use as well. You can use your passport if you have one. Okay. Let's see what else I want to tell you about. There's so much information. I try to narrow it down to what you need to know right now. Okay, let's see. Now, if you don't know where to vote at, once again, go to the clerk site and look that up, because she has right on there, right hand side, all this information there. How do I find my voting? What's my voting location? Bam, click on that. Okay. It will tell you where you vote on your sample ballot, if you have one. All right. And we already said you can go to the county clerk's office and get a sample ballot. So now you're ready to vote. The easy part. The voting polls open at 6 a.m. and they close at 7 p.m. And if you're still in line when the polls close at 7, stay in line, because you will still be able to vote. Okay? So you go to your polling place with your form of ID and your sample ballot that you filled out at home. All right? Then you show them your form of ID to the election worker. Okay? Say it's your utility bill with your address or current bank statement. Okay, that'll work. As long as it has your name and your address on it. And it's current. I just can't stress that enough. Let's see. So you show your ID to the election worker, and then you'll be asked which full party ballot would you like, or just which ballot you'd like. So that would either be Republican, Democrat, or Libertarian. So you would get a straight ticket. Okay. Or you can just get a non-partisan ballot well, I didn't think about that. Okay. Yeah. Or you can get a nonpartisan ballot that doesn't have the names of the candidates on that, or it just lists the issues you can vote on, like school or road repair. Okay. You'll be given a paper ballot, and it'll be inside a cover or folder or sleeve. It's light blue. All right. And by the way, you can pick a different party ballot each time you vote. It doesn't have to be the same. Like maybe this time you're going to vote Democrat, next time you're going to vote Republican. Just depends on how you feel about what you've learned and what they've done for us. Okay. Now, let's see. So you have your ballot in your paper sleeve. All right. But you can also choose to vote electronically. They have machines there that you can vote on, and they will teach you how to use them should you decide you want to vote that way. Okay. Now, if you still want to go with your paper ballot, you just pick a spot at one of the tables there. They're kind of sectioned off here so you have some privacy. Let's see, and you use a marker that's there, and you completely darken in the circle or the oval next to the issue that you want, or that you don't want, if they ask you yes or no. And then also next to the candidate that you choose, you circle, darken the oval. If you make a mistake, don't cross it off and keep going, because that will sometimes look like your answer. So if you make a mistake, just take your ballot back up there to the election workers, and they'll give you a new one. Okay. All done? Then you just slide your completed ballot into a machine that looks like one of the old printers. But if you're not sure, just ask them where you need to put it. Okay, but you have to do it. They don't put it in there for you. Keeps it confidential. All right. Then you put the cover folder wherever they're collecting them, on a chair, on the table. You'll see. Okay. But you're not done yet. You don't want to forget to get your I voted sticker. Okay. So you can wear it proudly all day. Now, if you still have any questions or concerns, go back to the county clerk's office or even the Secretary of State site. And like I said, I'll post those down below. Now, here's a few little voting tips or tidbits that I thought might help your voting experience. Excuse me. If you come to the vote, if you came to the polls to vote and you didn't have your form of ID, you can vote by provisional ballot, and that ballot will be held until you come back later that day with an ID. Okay, so maybe you voted when you got a ride and then you need to go back again. But your ballot won't count if you don't go back and verify who you were. All right. If you need special voting accommodations, you can request that you be allowed to vote in a more accessible polling place. But you need to do that before the election. Okay. But when you get there, though, if you want, you can request a ballot be brought out to you curbside or to your car if you have special health conditions. If you are blind, you can bring someone with you to read your ballot, or you can have a bipartisan election worker read it to you and complete it according to your wishes. If you are permanently disabled, you can request that your name be added to the permanent absentee ballot application list. And the application will be mailed to you before each election. And you do have to complete the application before each election, but you don't have to go and get it. And you don't have to request it. Let's see. You can vote if you're incarcerated. Yes, you can vote if you're in jail, if you meet all the other eligibility requirements for, being a citizen of Missouri, that kind of thing. Okay. And you can vote in Missouri if you have a conviction of a felony in your history, if you did your time and you served out your full probation. For voting in the future, you can contact the Secretary of State's office for assistance in obtaining a free ID, photo ID, okay, that you can use for voting purposes. I said photo ID. Might not be photo, but it is an ID, okay. Also, like if you needed help before you could get the ID because you needed to get your birth certificate from another city, something like that, they could help you with the expenses for that. Things like that. Okay, so that's the Secretary of State's office. Now you want to call this number to the county clerk's office if you have any trouble and call them from the polling place while you're having trouble. And that number is 573-886-4375. 573-886-4375, and I will post that below as well, along with the number for the voting hotline for questions, and I also have the number down there for the TDD line. In closing, I want to say, in the words of the late John Lewis, the vote is precious. It's almost sacred. It's the most powerful, nonviolent tool we have in a democratic society. And we've got to use it. That's what he said. In the words of Ronnie, your vote is your voice. Let the world hear you. That's all I have on voting. Take care of yourself, and as always, be blessed. Bye-bye.